Should have made like a template of what we were going to talk about.
We'll raw dog it.
Episode 100. I don't know if I thought we were going to get here, but here we are. And thank you guys for being here with us along the journey to 100. Welcome. It's Nichole.
100?
Just
Hundo.
100? Hundo.
It's wild because right now when we like to set container before we record, just because sometimes the topics can just go in different directions. And I was like, Nichole, we've done this for over 100 times at this point because we've had a couple of re-records, we've had some re-releases, and all this to say, we're still messes. We still don't have it together.
Don't keep saying that. If we keep putting that out there, we're never going to be better.
I actually think we've come a long way in terms of like speaking skill set, interviewing skill set, what the podcast has become, the people that we've had on. I actually feel like we've made a lot of progress.
Did you already say your name? Did you already tell the people who they were?
Oh,
in case this is their first one. They're joining us on episode 100.
I have a lot of different names. Today I'm Gabrielle Celeste. Sometimes I'm Gabby. Sometimes I'm Gabrielle.
Last week she was Crabby Gabby.
You know, and that was another thing too.
My husband thought it was hilarious when I was talking to Mom, telling her, and it like took him a while, like 5 seconds, 10 seconds later, he started laughing. He's like, "Oh, Krabby Patty or Krabby Gabby, that's hilarious." It's like Krabby Patty from SpongeBob. He's like, "That's a good one."
SpongeBob is one of the most underrated shows ever. So smart and just so well done. It's been around since my childhood. But no, we were talking about right before we jumped on. I was like, "Hey, did you notice that on another podcast there's a reference that you coined?" And she's like, "Yeah, like I haven't even gotten credit for it." And I was like, "Well, which other ones have you spoken to?" And Krabby Gabby was one of them, but I haven't heard that on the podcast yet.
Yeah. Well, no, but just, you know, when you use it, just remember that I TM'd it. Okay. Episode 100. So what we thought we would do is just kind of speak to what it's been like for 100 episodes, and then we were going to share clips from some different episodes from episode 1 and from some other episodes that we enjoyed. So we'll share some little clips. But if you think back to episode 1 to now, it's been a year and 8 months-ish?
Well, it's 2 years in April.
So. 2 years that we released it. We recorded that first episode probably in February or March. Like we recorded it much sooner than it actually released. So almost 2 years. What have you noticed besides some of the things you spoke to earlier? Or did you even think we would get to 100? I don't know if I thought we'd get to 100. I don't know if I thought that far in advance. Not that I didn't think we would do it, but it was just like, I don't know, it wasn't a thought.
Well, it's actually, I think we can have, like we can say it's been an honorary 2 years because you got the idea in December of 2021.
Was it December or January?
I think it was December. We started it in January.
I said it was January 11th.
That's when we started it, but you had the idea in December. We were talking about it already.
See, I'm the idea person. I even had the idea for the podcast.
Was it 2021 or 2023?
It was 2022 going into 2023.
Yeah, that makes sense. My goodness. Okay. Did I think we would get this far? Yes, I actually did. Did I think it was going to be what it is? Yes, I actually did. So, do I know what it's becoming? No. I have an idea. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes because there's a lot of different timelines. But it's funny because one of the points I was like, am I going to pull up this one from episode number 1? But one of the points that I think is interesting is to like what it's evolved to, because initially it was going to be like, you know, me teaching you like the morbid stuff. And then like, I like the light stuff, and our audience and the podcast was not down for the morbid stuff.
Boring. I'm still mad at you guys about that. I'm going to like start my own podcast and just talk about dark stuff.
Okay. But then you realize when you start a podcast how much work it is. And then you're just like, maybe not.
So much work. Yeah. Totally.
What about you?
I think, again, I don't know that I thought that far ahead, that I was thinking, oh, when we get to 100. And then I think especially as we started it, because we saw how much work goes into it.
Yeah.
And podcasting is fun, but it is not for the faint of heart. It is not for the weak. It is a lot of work. And I think, I heard a number that, I mean, I don't remember what the stat was, but a lot of podcasts don't make it past episode 10, which is kind of crazy. But I believe that. I think we've seen people that have maybe like talked about it or started it and it didn't go very far because once you get going, it's like, oh, this is a lot of work. This is way more than I anticipated. And especially for people that are having to do it on their own, and you don't really have a lot of help, that's rough. So even I think some, not too many, but like the podcasts that we know, some that didn't continue going, or maybe that have thought a few times like, oh, it's time to throw the towel, which I've thought that several times just because I'm like, this is just too much time. I don't have the time for this. But once I get on the mic, because I love to run my mouth, then I have a lot of fun. But it's the work, it's the editing, it's the other stuff that I don't enjoy as much. But if someone could just edit and all we had to do was show up and be the talent, that would be ideal, I think, for me. But yeah, I think some of the things that have helped, or not even help, but some of the improvements are definitely our speaking skills. Like I feel more confident doing any kind of presentation at work or just in general, like doing any kind of speaking. I think it's been helpful, but I'm also very aware of my speech, and there's some parts of it that I just hate so much. I hate that I say the word and so much. I don't do a lot. I actually think podcasting got rid of the ums for me pretty like a pretty high amount. I do it occasionally, but even in regular conversations with people, I notice that I don't use that word that often, and I sometimes I get like frustrated when I hear it so much from other people. I'm like, stop saying it. But whatever. And yeah, there's just things about the way that I speak that I'm like, ooh, I hate that. But also, I think it just is part of the way that I speak and who I am. And I don't know that I'm going to change it because I don't know that it's that much of a, I don't know, it's just not that big of a deal, I guess. It's just more of a notice, right? Like, oh, I hate how long my nose is, but I don't hate it that much to get a nose job, right? That kind of thing.
Yeah, I definitely feel like the concept of being seen is still something that's kind of fun to dance with and to observe within myself. I don't know if you feel like you can relate to that because, sometimes I think about like how I'm putting myself out there, like on social media or whatnot, but it's like you have a podcast that, has a substantial audience and I checked the stats today and I was like, oh, we reach every continent. So that was like actually really cool.
That's fun. Did you see how many countries? That'd be a fun number to share.
I can pull it up right now as you're doing your thing, but I think I hate the word influencer or anything like that because that's definitely not an identity that I resonate with or identify with in any way.
Well, we're not influencers.
No, we're not. But I certainly think that I think we have more of an impact than we probably give ourselves credit for, and the people that we've helped, whether or not that's vocally reflected back to us, is more substantial than we think.
Maybe. Well, we might not ever know. That's okay.
Yeah, that's totally okay. But yeah, the speaking component and being mindful of how I say and what I say is totally heightened and I think improved because of podcasting. And I notice it when I'm on other podcasts or when I'm speaking or when I'm trying to like convey a certain point across in readings as well.
Yeah. So I don't think we have been on every continent, have we? Like, people don't live on Antarctica, right? Are the penguins listening to us?
Well, according to our podcast statistics and platforms, yes, we are, because they're like numbers on all across the globe.
And Antarctica?
I'll look at it while you're looking at the other show notes. I can't do three things at once. But yeah, I'll pull it up.
What am I looking at? I'm not looking at anything.
Pull up the platform that we use.
Oh, what do you want me to do?
Look at the stats.
Oh.
And then go by location.
Hold on.
Maybe that's another thing too. I feel like sometimes we get frustrated with the numbers and the progress because we're such like action-oriented people. We're just like, I want to see like the payback and the payoff from it. And anytime I say that, I always personally I end up getting a booking, or like someone will message us, or someone will hit us up over DM or hit a text. And I think some of the most common feedback that I want to share that we've received since starting the podcast is the relatability, how they feel like they're in a room with us when we are, when they're listening. I think that something I've really heard a lot recently is how our voices sound so different from when we first started.
Oh, those underwater mics?
Well, the underwater mics, but literally like the tone of our voices apparently sound different too. So
interesting.
And I am very cognizant of filler words, like you said, like as. I don't know.
All right, so we are on every continent except Antarctica, but Oceania, Africa, Asia, Europe, South America, North America, and in 82 countries. So that's pretty cool. And just random countries too. I always love seeing the random countries. Egypt, Iran, Belarus. I've never
some of them I haven't even heard of. Exactly. I'm like, wow, I'm ignorant. Also, you said that at 333 at time of recording, so I love that.
Latvia. It's like another cool one. Malta. I remember when I saw Malta a long time ago. I was like, ooh, that's cool. Yeah, just so many different countries, which is really, really cool. So 6 continents, 82 countries. Cool.
So we were going to start this episode with just going back to episode 1 and playing some points that we think
underwater days.
The underwater days, the first 10 episodes. If you listen, by the way, okay, so today is Spotify Rap Day. And shout out to all of the spiritual Barbies and spiritual Kens, the term that Nichole has coined and she gets credit for, that have us in their Spotify Wrapped and that tag us in stories because we love to see that shit. We love it.
I think people think that you coined spiritual Barbies and Kens because the episode that we recorded where I came up with that released after the fact.
Oh.
And there was an episode that we recorded after that happened, but that got released sooner where you called people spiritual Barbies and Kens. But don't be fooled, guys. It was the older sister that came up with it.
And Nichole also came up with the idea for the podcast. It was not me. So
the idea, the name, the logo.
No, I came up with the name.
No, I had the download for the name in the shower and I called you and I was like, hey, what about this? You're like, I love it.
Really? Oh my gosh.
Yes.
See, one conversation I don't remember, but I remember the most ridiculous
I remember being in the shower and it came to me in the shower.
There we go.
Yeah.
One day we'll come out with merch, guys. One day.
Yeah, when she sits down to do it, we'll come up with merch.
Yeah, exactly.
So don't hold your breath. Okay. All right, let's listen to episode 1.
All right, let's see what little timestamp I'm going to jump to. Are we ready?
Just the very beginning. Play from 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0.
Okay, ready?
Yeah. Oh, wait. And for those of you watching on YouTube, we're going to pull the clips for some of these episodes. However, we don't have video for episode 1.
We don't know what happened.
So you're just going to watch us play it into the phone. But don't worry, for the other episodes, you'll be able to see the clips on YouTube. Okay, episode 1, go.
Hello and welcome to the Spiritual Sisters podcast. I'm Nichole.
And I'm Gabrielle Celeste.
Oh my God, Gabby, I can't believe we're finally doing this. How long have we been talking about this?
Probably since December of 2022, and it's now March of 2023. So it's exciting to see this finally come together and us get to the recording stage, sis. How are you doing?
So it doesn't seem like it's been that short amount of time. Like I guess December to March doesn't feel that long, but it feels like we've been talking about this forever, right? We've had our logo since, I don't even know, maybe like January, and nobody ever talks about it, but it's a lot of work to start a podcast. There are so many little things that go into it that I don't think I had any idea. And if we had decided to do this in January, or if we had started talking about it in December and decided we were going to do it in January, there's no way. Because we're in March right now. This isn't going to get released until April. And we're still learning a lot of things about it.
And I also think
So that's still very true. Almost 2 years into it. I mean, even if you've listened to the audio, or just like, damn, or like where you cut it and where you can tell that you're editing, like, I think that that's pretty obvious too. But I actually will say I really enjoyed the cadence of the first 2 episodes, because I felt like there was a lot that wanted to be shared and came out. And then maybe in like 5 to 10, we were figuring it out as we went. And then we're still kind of figuring it out, as I just said. So
I remember that first episode took me forever to edit because I didn't know how to edit and I was trying to figure it out. I was on an airplane for our honeymoon and I was editing our episodes and it took me, and then something was going on. I had to start all over. So that first episode, no joke, probably took me 5 hours to edit for a 1 hour episode as I was like learning and fucking up.
Do you remember right before we started to record?
I was so nervous. I did not want to push record. I was like, oh my God, no, I can't.
You guys, she was literally like, okay, wait, taking deep breath.
Oh, it was so bad because I wasn't out of the closet yet. Nobody knew I was a spiritual Barbie. I was like a down low spiritual girly, and this was like my coming out, and I was not ready for it. And then it was just like no big deal. Like, really, nobody gives a shit if you're spiritual or not.
That's how fear lies. That is how fear lies. So
nobody cares.
No one cared.
Nobody cares. And I didn't want to put up all my oracle cards and decks. My husband doesn't care. Now he's like, ooh, it's like you cleansed in here. You haven't saged in a while. Like, now he just kind of knows, and it's just part of like who I am. And my son's super into rocks now, so he or like crystals and geodes and things. So he loves going through my crystal collection, and it's no big deal, but it was the biggest deal to me, and I was so scared. Everybody's going to judge me. Everybody's going to think I'm weird. And maybe people do, and whatever. I don't care.
They're not telling
I'm just living my life.
Face. I think that's so funny because in the first episode, around minute 20 or so, we talk about your spouse being a skeptic, and it's really funny. Yeah. I think he's getting a little bit better, though. You know,
he uses the language just to appease me sometimes, I think, to entertain me. He said something the other day about his third eye. It's like, shut up. Like, whatever.
Yeah, but it's funny because you're so nervous, and then the whole concept, like now, fast forward like almost 2 years later, we still struggle with the idea of being seen, you know?
I struggle with the idea of being seen on social media. I don't struggle with being seen on the podcast or the podcast page, but I struggle being seen on my own page. So I need to work through that.
Okay. Well,
all right, what's the next clip?
Are you ready? You don't know this by now. I don't know.
I think I may. Hold on. Cancer. I feel like I should know this. Cancer, Sun, Pisces moon? Sag moon? Oh, I thought it was Sag rising.
Aquarius.
Oh, I don't know. Aquarius was in there too. I don't know. See, I don't know. This is why we're doing this, because I don't know these things. And I want to know these things. I want to have a better understanding. And so what better way to do that than turn our daily phone calls into this new project.
So, Nichole, what's your big three? You don't know this.
What's your big three?
My big no, I asked you first.
Cancer, Sun, Sagittarius, Moon, Aquarius rising.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Got it.
She got it, guys. After 100
I still have to remember. I have to like close my eyes and like cut off senses in order to remember. I always get confused with the rising and sun, moon. Rising and moon. I know my sun.
And you know what? You are all welcome. Cancer sun, Pisces moon, Pisces rising.
Yeah, see, that's easy.
Yeah. We still have our phone calls, guys. It's just not as often, but we still have them because we're busier now than we were when we first started the pod.
Got suckered into doing PTA twice. Never again. I'm so tired. It's keeping me so busy. And it's a lot of work. Don't do PTA, guys, unless you don't have a job. Or unless you have like a part-time job.
It's funny because I remember you're like, well, I kind of want to do it. I think the tune has changed, right?
Yeah. I think it's like a one and done. You have to try it and do it once just to see what it's like. And then after that, it's just, you don't need to do it anymore. It's fine.
Until you have another child, and then it's like, well, you did it for the first, so you got to do it for the second.
Dumb.
You know? Yeah. All right, next one.
Right. We talked a little bit about some of the experiences that we've had with the paranormal. And I am somebody who is kind of morbid, right? And I'm okay with that.
I was just going to say, I'm like, you guys are going to come to see. We work in the light and only with the light. But Nichole is way more into like the serial killers, the cults.
I love them.
Yes. It's not my shit, sis.
It is not your shit, but it is my shit. And so it's almost turned into, okay, well, how can we include that in there? And we had some ideas of maybe looking at birth charts of different serial killers.
So we did that, but that's when we kind of had an idea of how the podcast was going to go, but it didn't go that way, did it?
No, I'm still bitter about it. I'm like, I hate every time I'm reminded of it. I still like all that stuff. It just fascinates me. You know what I think it is? Because I've always been fascinated by people's behaviors, right? I was a social major in undergrad, and then I, majored in clinical psychology for grad school. So I think I've always just been fascinated by behaviors in the brain and things like that. So I think that's why I love all of that kind of morbid stuff. It's like a curiosity of what made them do that and where did stuff go wrong and why did they keep doing it? So I think that's part of it for me. And we've had a few friends that have started podcasts lately, but Anna from Anna Rising started a podcast recently, which I love because I feel like it's kind of what we wanted to do, but she's not only focusing on the serial killers and criminals, she's focusing on kind of everybody, talking about soul contracts. And I think it's so fascinating when you can look at something like that where, with celebrities involved, because I love celebrities too. So it's almost kind of like two of my loves combined together, which I think is why I love her podcast. So check it out. What's it called? The Soul Ecosystem? Yes, check that one out. It's really, really, really good. I love it.
So I actually wanted to showcase another timestamp, maybe one more after this from the first episode where I actually highlight some of what you were just saying.
Oh,
where you're at now.
Background on my schooling, my path,
who I am, right? This is all I've known my whole life, to making the shift to spirituality, because there is a difference where people will say, well, I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual. And then a lot of times people that are very religious have their own thoughts on spirituality. So when did you kind of start making that shift from I'm Catholic and this is so much part of my identity to where you're at now?
Okay, so the reason I wanted to show that is because it was a really good example of how interviewing, speaking, prompting questions comes very naturally to Nichole, and something that I really wanted to reflect back to you is, one, how naturally it comes to you, and then also how you can genuinely promote other guests that we've had, and it's coming from a genuine place. And we've actually been able to just also showcase other intuitives and business owners. And I feel as though those two are connected because it comes so naturally to you. And that's also, a big part of why the podcast has become what it's become.
Yeah, I think because all I do all day is ask people questions, right? Sometimes it's, why did you just cough in my face, right? So sometimes they're not very big questions. Why did you just pick your nose and rub it on the table, right? Not my son. Sometimes, with the littles that I work with. Or sometimes, with my teens, it might be something, why aren't you coming to school? What's going on? But I'm just so used to asking questions all day long I could have probably totally been a journalist, right? I could have been Oprah.
I was going to say
Right?
journalist, but I was like, you don't like to write.
I don't like to write,
You
but
don't like to write.
right, but not all journalists write. Oprah doesn't write. You know, Lisa
True.
Ling doesn't write. Like they don't write. They just ask questions. They do interviews. I could have totally done that.
I
If any
agree.
TV networks are listening and you need a new on-air journalist, hit me up. I'm so down. Anyway, manifesting that. Okay.
Okay, last one from the first episode.
Last one. All right.
Well, you were married to me before you were married to your husband, just so you know.
Probably. Tell him. No, I mean, there's times where we've shown up almost wearing the same outfit. On our birthday last year, we were color coordinated.
Yeah, not intentional.
No, it's just, I buy a shirt and I show you, oh, I bought that same shirt.
Dumb.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's dumb sometimes how much we are like. But I think we covered a lot. I didn't think we were going to talk as much as we did. So stay tuned, guys. We're going to be jumping into all those things that we talked about. And
So, Nichole, what are you wearing today?
What time did you get dressed? I probably got dressed before you. I got dressed at 7 a.m.
Don't count. Doesn't count. I got dressed 10 minutes before we got on camera.
Yeah, I got dressed before you. I got dressed at 7 a.m. Had to go to work. Yeah, it's so dumb, right? I don't even want to talk about it.
If you guys don't know this joke by now, are you even
a listener? Are you even a fan?
Are you even a spiritual Barbie or a spiritual Ken?
I don't think so.
Okay. That was fun.
All right. So one of the other episodes, we kind of switched it up at the last minute because the episode that I wanted to share, I realized wasn't one of ours. But I'll tell you the part that I thought was hilarious, and you guys go listen to them. So we did a collaboration in spooky season of 2023 with, at that point, it was All Things Outrageously Dark, Scary, Beautiful, and Totally True. I still remember. And now it is Curiosity Killed the K's. We did a collab with them. So we recorded 2 shows that day, one on theirs, one on ours. And I think I got confused because I edited both of those episodes because there were so many audios. So I think I could never remember whose episode it was on or whose show it was on. But if you were watching it on YouTube also, which I don't know if they released it on YouTube, but Kelly's husband was there making them food and doing all kinds of things in the background. And we were talking about different kinds of witches. So we were talking about, I don't know, Earth Witch and whatever kinds of witches there were. And there was one witch called a kitchen witch. And as we're recording, I see him walk by with a blender. And I was like, did he just walk by with a blender? And Callie, not missing a beat because she's so hilarious and witty, was like, kitchen witch! And I think that's been one of my favorite episodes ever. But it wasn't on our podcast. But anyways, go back into the archives for their show, Curiosity Killed the K's, and go back to October. Actually, they did a re-release also this October. So check October 2024 or check October 2023 for that episode. So that was the clip I wanted to showcase, but since we didn't have it, we pivoted at the last moment. And this is the episode that I chose.
you guys, she's here. The Queen Mother is here. We've been talking about her since the very beginning. And we have Queen Mother Nikki Novo here with us today. I didn't think this was ever going to happen.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I cannot with the title. I just see myself as Mother Goose. I do hear.
You are Queen Mother.
Thank you. I should maybe embody it a little bit more, but I get that. I get that often. I'm that I was on this journey by myself for a long time, and I just wanted friends, and that's why what I've done exists.
So when we did our episode with our Queen Mother, and even that kind of came about very easily. We went to her book, what was it? Her book launch
book
party?
signing.
Book signing with some of our witchy friends. And she was signing our books. And I think, was it you that said something about coming on our podcast?
I was in disbelief and I was being really facetious. And I was like, oh, she actually agreed. And I was like,
She was like, yeah, because I think we said something along the lines of when we get bigger, when we have more episodes, will you come on our podcast? And she looked up and she said, I'll come on your podcast now. And we looked at each other and we were shocked. And then all the other witches were around and we're like, you guys heard that, right? Like, everybody heard that? Okay, like, no takebacks. And she was so serious about it. And we were so happy to have our Queen Mother on episode 39.
She's actually one of the more requested guests to come back on.
Oh, they want her to come back?
Yeah.
She's probably like, I'm not doing that again. Hey, Nikki, if you hear this, do you want to come back?
Oh, that's so good. You know what I will say? Like, and I wanted to say this before you had started. I do think the people that we've met, so Curiosity with the K's, Nikki, everyone we've had on, and the other podcast hosts and shows, like that's been such a cool part of this experience too.
Yeah, our boys Ryan and Scott, who like blew up, and I think they forgot about us. It's okay.
Yeah.
We knew them when they were just mini baby podcasters like us. No, Scott still messages me sometimes.
Shout
They
out.
didn't really forget about us.
No.
And then Heather and Rachel over at like Mother Like Murder. Those were some of the other friends that we had. Kevin at Where the Weird Ones Are. We've had him on before. Yeah, we've had a lot of podcast friends that we've made along the way who it's kind of nice because they understand the complexities of having a podcast and what goes into it. And they have different tips and tricks. And so it's nice to have a community. And we've said this before, the podcast community isn't as competitive, I guess, as you would think it would be, right? Gabby spoke earlier about promoting other shows because everybody's so different that it's not like, oh, well, I don't want to mention this show because then you're not going to listen to ours anymore. The shows are so different. They all have their own flavor, right? There's different hosts, there's different personalities, there's different topics. And sometimes I'll listen to a topic. Like I've probably heard the story of Richard Ramirez so many times that we covered him briefly, but I will still listen to it on other podcasts because they're all going to cover it a little bit differently because they all have their flavor, their spin, even just the sounds of their voices, the interactions between them. So I think that's why for me, at least, promoting other shows it like doesn't take anything away from us. And if we promote another show and you like them better, good. That's okay. Right? Like we don't have to be married forever. If we can introduce you to somebody that you like, cool. I've played matchmaker before. And you know what? They're still married. So I'm okay with playing podcast matchmaker too.
I mean, if you want to stay married to us forever, we would greatly appreciate that. Don't go running away. Okay, which episode are you which timestamp are you playing?
Okay, so here's another clip from the episode with Nikki.
So, I mean, none of this was really as mainstream as it is, you know? It was really more like the weird psychic you go to see and like you do not want to become her, you know, that kind of thing. So, you know, it wasn't really something I thought I was going to do. But like most people, I had my little spiritual awakening. And at the time, it felt very serious. I was dating this guy who I thought like my heart led me to this person. And I thought that I was supposed to marry this person. And out of nowhere, he breaks up with me. I know now that I'm 41 and married for many years, I'm like, oh, that's so silly. But it was a big deal for me, you know, like I needed something more than just like my friends telling me that it was okay or that like my mom telling me that like somebody else was going to come my way. I was like, I need to talk to God. Like somebody please let me talk to God. So I was like, well, I've heard like there's these people with these superpowers are called psychics. And even though I wasn't allowed to see psychics growing up, I just felt like this was the time. And I had this one girlfriend who went to school with me also. And she was just like always like a little bit of a rebel. Her parents were a little bit like open-minded. And she's like the kind of friend that you're like probably like if you need like cocaine or like a Molly, you're like gonna go to her, you know? You're like
She's
this
your
girl.
girl.
This girl for sure knows somebody who can get us a Molly, you know? But I used it for something else. I was like, you for sure know this. You for sure know a psychic, right? And she's like, of course I know a psychic.
That is I think that's one of the examples of why I was so drawn to Nikki when I first, found out about her, because she's so just like real and relatable, and she had those friends. Maybe she still has those friends. I probably used to be that friend. I could find anything, and now I'm like, wait, what? People are doing what and getting that? And my question's always like, where do they get this from? Like, how do they find this? I would have been that friend for Nikki, though. I would have definitely known how to get her high and take her to a psychic. But not anymore.
That's so good. Oh, I love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a good episode for sure. It's one of my favorites.
And, even just kind of what she spoke to, I think is kind of what got me into the work. Not into the work, but got me into finding my own psychics to work with that I felt like I needed support from. It always has to do, and we've talked about it before in other
So
episodes.
dumb.
It always has
So
to
dumb.
do with the dumb boy that now I'm like, I don't even give a crap about this person. What a loser. What a waste. But I think that's how a lot of us get into it, right? We are so hardwired for relationships. So when a relationship goes south, or just something relationship related, we need that validation. We need to be able to speak to somebody, because we feel like our whole world is over and we're never going to find anybody like this, right? I thought this was going to be the person that I was going to marry, and then they broke up with me, or they cheated on me, right? And I feel like for so many people, it's about that. It's okay, well, when am I going to find the love? And then I'm kind of noticing, even in myself, okay, well, I found the love. So I don't give a shit about that anymore, right? Those are not questions that I have anymore. I don't have questions about my relationship. Now it's progressed to, okay, but what about like my career? What about other areas of life? And so I think for maybe a lot of people that are in their 20s, and I've even kind of noticed this, and we've kind of talked about this, like Instagram account that I thought was really predatory. And I think she was really marketing to the 20-something-year-olds that were having heartbreak and that wanted to get this person back, and it just felt so gross and icky to me. But that's her market, right? That's kind of like her age range. That's who she's targeting, and they're falling for it, right? It's like, oh, if you want this person back, just do this. You guys, that doesn't work. And if you have to do some kind of like weird black magic to get them back, they are not worth it. Do not even do that.
I love the word that you use, predatory, and yeah, like that specific account, if I'm remembering correctly, is to the one that we talked about a couple months ago, like well over 100,000 followers. So I think that's a little bit,
yeah,
it's a little frightening. Yeah, here, I agree.
Yeah. All right, what other one do we got?
Okay, so we're gonna jump to episode 72.
72. Oh my gosh. So we went from 1 to 39 to 72. Oh, that's a good span.
To Cancer Season 101 with a special birthday episode. The Sagittarius sister joined us, and she keeps us humble, so she still does. All right, ready?
Does she keep us humble, or is she just bitchy?
Okay.
Well, if this is your first time listening, welcome to the Spiritual Sisters podcast. If you're returning, we love you. Welcome back. Oh, hey guys, it's my birthday. Wait. I think it's Gabby's birthday too.
Yeah, I copied you exactly 9 years after. And I copied everything else, like your graduation date, what else? Eventually your firstborn's birthday, all of the things.
Your personality, your emails, your...
Okay, so again, if you don't know that joke by now, I don't know.
Do you even listen?
Do you even know us?
Do you even listen?
Are you really a listener? Okay. How to share that? How to start off with that? Okay, ready for the next one?
Yes.
Cancers.
You tell me.
Did you look it up?
No, I didn't.
She was going to make you do everything.
Yeah. You're the OG Cancer.
But I'm not an astrology girl.
You are by association.
Get your phone and look it up on the side. I'm going to tell you some that are in the book, but we want some more interesting ones. Okay.
Okay, so just an example of Nichole being the older sister, the boss of the podcast, the OG Cancerian born on June 22nd. Okay? Does that stand true, Nichole?
Which part?
All of it.
That I'm the boss?
Yeah. I think you
Yeah,
are.
but I don't mean to be the boss. I think it's just because because I'm the ideas person, it's just more of I have the ideas and I just need to get the ideas out. It's not because I think we're going to do this or because I say we're going to do it. It's more of hey, I have these ideas because I am such a podcast connoisseur, right? I am always taking in new podcasts and listening.
Yeah.
So I think that's why. So I'm not trying to be the boss. I just have leadership skills and I have lots of ideas that need to be shared.
She has a sense of urgency and
with everything.
She just coined the term podcast connoisseur. So if you want that on a mug or a coaster, let us know. Okay, so then there's another part of the show in that particular episode where we do a fuck, marry, kill. I'm going to play it. And I just want to know if this still stands true as well.
Okay.
Chance to ask you. Wait. Fuck, marry, kill. Oh, great. Okay, let's go. Okay, fuck, marry, kill.
Wait,
all the zodiacs?
No, we got it. Oh, yeah, to the zodiacs. Out of the zodiacs.
Oh, no. Okay. Can I do 2 for Mary? Yeah, why not? Actually, no.
Tell your husband.
I go, no, because Mary is going to be a Sagittarius. Yeah, I will say Mary a Sagittarius because they will be able to understand me. Fuck a Leo. And
Kill a Leo.
Kill a Leo. But yes, Scorpios.
Okay, so are those still valid? And also, that was Brianna speaking, the younger sister, the charmed one. She completes the Trinity.
The one that keeps us humble, but it's just really low key mean. Let's see. So yeah, well, I don't remember who I said. I probably said. Okay, hold on. I probably said. Hold on. I said kill a Leo. I probably said marry a Cap. And I said F a Scorpio. Is that what I said? I feel like I said that.
Feel like you said that too. You definitely said marry a Cap.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Who did you say?
A Scorpio. I don't even remember. It was probably some kill a Leo.
Yeah.
And I would marry a Virgo.
Let's make sure. Men, guys, we love our Leo ladies. We love our Leo ladies. We just don't like our Leo men.
So I would kill
as much.
Facts. Kill a Leo man, fuck a Scorpio, which I think before might have been a Capricorn, but now I'm changing it to Scorpio, and marry a Virgo.
That's right.
That feels right. Okay. Next one.
I have gone on a couple dates with several Libra men, and I just feel like they're kind of like Leos in sheep's clothing. Is that the right way to say it?
Because Callie, let us know if you agree. She'll listen to this.
Well, okay, the men, right? Not necessarily the women, because I do get along with Leo and Libra women. But the Libra men, they need just as much of affection, and they're kind of high maintenance when it comes to beauty, because I'm you can't be prettier than me.
Annoying.
You can't.
I just wanted to highlight the fucking annoying part. Sometimes I think is interesting. Sometimes what I think is interesting is we'll get people that reach out to us through their publicist or their podcasting agency or whichever, and then they ask, they're can we cuss? I'm do you listen to the show? And I don't care if this stays, and we're keeping this in because it's annoying. It's annoying. So
maybe it's more of, do you care if we do it because we're guests, right? You're always kind of on your best behavior when you're in someone else's home. For example, maybe you don't live in a house where you take your shoes off, but when you get to someone else's house, you're going to ask, hey, do you want me to take my shoes off? So maybe it's more of a respect thing. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Okay. Love that. Okay. So this is my final clip. Ready?
Yes.
Flirtatious nature And if Gemini can turn that fun attention to their partner more often than to others. Well, that's it.
All right. Well, since this is a special birthday episode, tell me what you want to. Well, I mean, we manifested in another episode, but I want to know what you're planning for this year, what you would like to happen for you within this next year. This next
Look, I'm still trying to get pregnant, so I would love to be pregnant in the next lap around the sun. And I would like to maybe, I don't know. I think I want to have some more product offerings.
Oh, I love that.
That's a good one.
Love that.
Oh, well, you answer the next one, but does that still stand true to you, Nichole?
Yes, and we've kind of talked about it doing an update. Oh, I think we said we were going to do an update on episode 100, but I think we're running out of time. So I haven't really spoken a lot about IVF only because, oh my gosh, you guys, it is such a process. For some of you that have maybe gone through it or new people that have gone through it, some people have a very easy time. They go in for one retrieval, they get their little embryo, they do their transfer, and they're pregnant. That has not been the case for me, and it's just been a lot of waiting and a lot of this and a lot of that. And so I had kind of decided, let me wait until we're done. And then that way I can do a whole story from beginning to end, and we'll probably make that its own episode, because I think I had to really connect to my spiritual practices and really let that be a source of support and a source of strength for me, because there were times where I just didn't think I was going to make it. It was just too much. It's so hard. So I think that can be its own episode when that time comes. So I'm not trying to leave anybody hanging, but I think it's just it has gotten prolonged in such a way that I'm like, I can't just keep coming with these little updates here and there. Oh, we don't know yet, so we're going to hold off on any updates until everything is said and done. And yes, the second part about having more product offerings, I am in the works of getting that done. So 2025 for sure, probably before my birthday, there will be new offerings. So stay tuned.
Yeah, I love the idea of you making it one entire episode, and I feel like because we're in a year 9 right now, and you had said the other day you're like, I kind of went into hermit mode, and I feel like a big part of that, and it almost sounded like, I mean, I could sense the emotions, but IVF has been such an emotional undertaking that I feel like that was a really big not distraction, because it's so important, and I feel like it's just one of the most important things is the family for sure. It's more just like that just deserved and needed the attention that it required in 2024 from you than any other part of your life.
Does the year 9 end when the year ends or when our birthday ends?
When the year ends in my
Oh,
system.
thank God. I'm so over this stupid year.
Mm-hmm.
2024 has been by far the hardest year I have ever had in my entire life. And I've gone through some shit, you guys. We haven't talked about it. And Gabby was saying, you should do a podcast episode on just, your life and your history. I've been through some shit. But 2024 has been by far the worst year in my 41 years on this planet.
That's
this time around.
Yeah. That's a statement for sure.
Mm-hmm. And I stand by it.
Well, we're 28 days out, 27 days out at the time of recording. So, yeah. Okay.
Let's be done with it.
I want
to travel more.
Yeah. I don't think I mentioned this, but I want our podcast to grow a significant amount. So that would be fun. And to maybe call in an additional, it's just because I work in 3 big names, and I think we're going to get one of them, which I know Nicole's very potentially excited about. And then I'd like to see where I'm at in just advancing my life personally in a year from now, just to
advancing my life, just in general.
Well, yeah, just because I have a big change coming up, so just to see how that progresses in general, because it's going to happen pretty quickly after our birthday.
Okay, so Do you want me
So
to
what's
name?
going on in your life?
Well, I knew exactly what I was referencing in terms of the personal life, and it did in fact happen. So I did relocate. She's living in San Diego, guys. I have not, I know, I have not shared that publicly. I did share that I moved on Thanksgiving on my personal account. But this was a big change that I knew was coming, that needed to happen, that I've really been sitting with in terms of where to go within the last year. And just all signs kept pointing to San Diego. Like, your business, once you have a spiritual business, a business in general, but especially spiritual, your business is going to tell you what it wants you to do for it. And I have a lot of all the parties that I've done in person where, they hire an intuitive to come read for however many people are there. They've been very successful, and they've all been located in San Diego. My business does better when I'm here. We have extended family here. It feels like a second home. We've been going back and forth for over, 2 decades. So I am in San Diego now, and that's been such a shift. And I've been in such a place of doing like really deep internal inner child work, and that's been very profound and probably, and I'm not ready to talk about it, so I might end up just doing like an episode on its own, because I think inner child work is so related to the subconscious, and it's the place that you manifest from. I'm not ready to talk about it because I'm still in it. But I do think that it's probably some of the most painful work that I've ever done. And it's not for the faint of heart, it's not for the weak. And it's been really profound to navigate that, especially as we go into the darker time of the year with winter approaching. So that's where I'm at. I feel like that's a huge change. It's funny, in the first part of the first episode, I talk about like calling in a partner, and I was like, yeah, I know he's on his way. Said partner is not on his way. However, I mean, he is on his way, but he's not shown up. And I do feel like this part of my life, this move, is going to open the doors for that, because where we were living previously, or where I was living previously, there wasn't really much opportunity for it. I didn't really make the time for it. And I feel like for me, where I'm at in my life, I'm going to just invest more personally, in my personal life, I should say.
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day because you had mentioned that. I think when you were looking up the clips, like, oh, talking about he's on his way. And you've been so optimistic for years. He's coming, he's coming. But I think it couldn't have happened here. I think you needed to get away in order for that to happen. So I think if you would have stayed here, it might not have happened, or it would have happened God knows when. I think this is the perfect place for you to call that in, because one, you're going to have to make an effort to have a social life, because yes, we have family out there, and yes, we have Savannah out there. However, you're going to have to make an effort to be social and to make friends. So that's where I think
Totally.
it's going to have to, where it's going to come from.
And also, just like, had it been back at home, where like who it could have happened with, like, no thank you. I feel like I explored potential opportunities as well. I just felt more like a location and a timing thing, and I truly feel as though I was sent here, guys. So let's see how that goes.
I have a friend who was recently single, and we went out with her like months ago. And George, he's probably told you this too. He was telling her, you need to stop drinking from the same well. That's like one of his favorite things to say, is you need to stop drinking from the same well, ladies. It's like what he loves to tell his coworkers or whomever. And she went out one night and she met a guy, and she said, he's totally not my type. She goes, but in the back of my mind, I remember you and George saying, you got to drink from a different well. And this guy is sweeping her off her feet in the best way possible. And she almost didn't give him a chance because he wasn't her kind of usual, but that's exactly why she ended up trying it. This guy treats her like a damn queen, and she is. So she deserves it all. But she almost wasn't going to. And she needed to step out of her comfort zone. And she's like, oh my gosh, this guy does so many things and takes her to all these like great places, and, just nice things like, oh, I'm going to like come pick you up and take you out to eat, or, we're going to go somewhere, but I need to meet your parents because I don't feel right. Us taking a overnight trip without like your parents knowing who you're with, like very traditional.
Oh, I love that.
Right. And she almost didn't do it. So drink from a different well, ladies.
Gabby's not drinking from the same well, just so everyone knows. It's just a good example to speak to. But I totally understand what you're saying. Yeah, and then the other two parts, I mean, we started this episode with talking about the numbers and the reach, so that's always beautiful and exciting. And we always get so excited when people book with our workshops or book readings that have found us through our podcast or us being featured on other podcasts. So there's that. And then the other component that I spoke to about manifesting before I ask you a question, Nichole, and we close out. Do you still want are we still aiming for said feature and guest to come on?
I don't know, but I forgot to mention one of the big things that we manifested that came true was we did a collab also with Common Mystics, and I love them, and that was so fun.
Yeah, they're
that
hilarious.
was such a fun episode. They are hilarious, and the sister dynamic I think was so fun. So check out that one if you haven't already, guys. That one is episode number 53.
Oh, okay,
so
right
good.
In the middle. Right in the middle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. We had a discussion about that the other day. About the other one. So I don't know.
Okay. Well, we'll see.
we'll see.
I still feel like there's a potential to cross paths with said person in time.
Yeah, I don't feel like there's anybody else that I'm really like gunning for. I feel like there was I really wanted Marley Rose Harris to come on, and she did.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was like the last person that I was really like, oh, this is someone who I want to talk to. This is someone who I want. And I haven't really come across too many people since then. So we'll see.
Yeah, well, stay tuned. So, okay, as we close out, what are you manifesting for however much longer we decide to do this? Like, what do you want to see occur or transpire for the podcast journey that is?
For someone to figure out the merch. Gabs.
You know
I
what?
have the ideas. I have the ideas. I just don't have the time or the patience to sit down and do it. I have all the ideas in the head. That's why I'm the boss, right? But it's the execution of it that I don't always have the time or the energy to do because of everything else in life. So,
okay. She did, by the way, check out our show notes. She started an Etsy shop. Part of the reason I started an Etsy shop was to figure out how Etsy works so that we could do the merch. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, at time of recording, it's like beginning of December. I'm definitely taking the time towards the end of this month and these holidays to go inward and to really just strategize for what we want to do within the podcast, our business, what Nichole wants to do within her business. So I'm super excited for the product offerings. And something that I feel is really common, at least within my sessions with clients, is how much of the subconscious work is so important and how it seems to be a common theme. So I'm really excited to see what the podcasting journey brings you in relation to your business and what doors that will open as well.
Yes, ditto. All right.
And that's episode 100, ladies. Spiritual Barbies and Kens.
Spiritual Barbies and Kens. Thank you for being along for the ride. Kudos to you if you stuck around for episode 1. So we always see that episode 1 and 2 are the most downloaded ones. And then sometimes I think people are like, oh no. But that's like a rule in podcasting. You don't go back and listen to the first episode first. You always start with the most recent episode and then you work your way back. Because if you start at episode 1, you're probably not going to like it because people are figuring it out. People don't always have the best equipment. A lot of podcasts started underwater episode 1. So I hope if you're new that you start, we've gotten a lot of good feedback on episode 99, the one we just did. So start at episode 99.
It only took 99 episodes.
It took 99 episodes. And then work your way back. And then you'll appreciate the improvements and how far we've come. But really, thank you guys for being here for as long as you have. If you're a new listener, if you are an OG listener, we love getting the feedback. If you've left us a review, thank you for that. Any share, we love the shares. That really helps. And we've had so many great guests. So thanks to our guests who have been willing to take a chance on a little baby podcast, because we did get, I think, some bigger names that we didn't think we would get based on their followings or whatever. And nobody's really said no. So I think that was kind of a lesson too, where sometimes we think something might be a certain way and it's not. And yeah, just excited to see what the next year brings. So we'll be closing out 2024 soon, seeing what 2025 brings. 50 more episodes, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But
Maybe
it's
we'll
been a
see.
journey.
Absolutely. So until next time, oh my gosh, do you want to do this together in synonymous timing?
Yes.
Okay, are you ready?
Yes.
1, 2, 3.
Bye.